WDBFradio.com. 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 I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing and blowing on when the sun shines all day. They call me a grouper. So fishing and blowing on. Oh yeah.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. on the WDBF Radio Network. And now, your host, Riscala Stevens.
Well, a very good morning to you out there. It is, it is an unusual morning for me. My body is telling me that it's not what time it is. What are you doing? You should have been up a couple of hours ago. Oh my gosh. So I hope that you are experiencing a better morning than I am. My body is still an hour. This hour thing that we go through, it just drives me crazy. But we want to thank you for taking the time to join us. It is the Fish Florida Show. I am your host, Riscala. This morning I have Pam Worth, one of the top female anglers. And let's try that again. You can tell I'm just waking up, right? Pam is one of the top female kayak anglers here in Florida, and she has proven that several times already. And in the background, we have the one and only Captain Hook. He's back there doing all the stuff that make the show work. And a thank you to both of you for being here, and a good morning to both of you.
Good morning, and our pleasure.
Well, good morning.
What's it like over there?
Dreary. Kind of rainy, dreary. That front that came through is kind of backing up, and it's going to be a lot nicer, and we're not going to have all the tornadoes that we had on Friday. But it's kind of backing up, and it's just kind of drizzly. I may fish anyway. There's no lightning.
Yeah, I heard that there was some really nasty weather that came through.
Yeah. My husband went out to check something, and on his way back, it hit and knocked him off his feet.
No way.
Freaked me out.
Wow.
Yeah. I was down fishing with a friend, and because it came north of where we were. So we got off the water in plenty of time, and I texted him to let him know I was on the way home. And that's when he told me that the tornado had hit, a lot of trees down, shut down the front of our subdivision. We couldn't get in the front area, had to come around through the back. And yeah, knocked him on his butt.
You know, I have been very fortunate. It's only been a couple of times I've been out on the water and had an issue. One time I was with my brother, and it was at Alligator Rock Lighthouse down off of Isla Mirada. We were probably maybe 100 yards from the lighthouse and getting ready to head out to the shipping lanes, going to head out east, out into the really deep water. And I could feel the static around me building up. I could feel the hairs on what little hair I have on my body. I could feel them standing up. I could feel static building up. And I looked at my brother and I said, "Do you feel that?" And he goes, "Yeah, it feels weird." I go, "We need to get out of here." I am not kidding you. We pulled the lines up because we were doing some shallow reef fishing, looking for snappers and some groupers. We pulled the lines up, got the car started, got the boat started, put it in gear, just began to move, and lightning hit the lighthouse. And it was the loudest. It was so fast and so quick. All you heard was a crack. And, with an immediate bang right after that. Crack bang. Wow. Unlike anything I'd ever experienced before. And the other experience I had was we were coming in from, again, in Isla Mirada. That was one of my favorite places to fish. Coming into, to the dock, and a storm built up on shore. So we had to go back out and wait for the storm to let up because it was pretty nasty. There was a lot of lightning. I don't mind the rain, but the lightning gets to me. I don't like being around with the lightnings going on.
Yep, I agree with you. So I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. We've got disturbed weather north of us here. It looks like around Sebastian Vero Beach, in that area, we've got a lot of heavy weather that is slowly making its way. Kind of a northeasterly pattern, but some of it is up off of shore. So if you're gonna go fishing out in those areas, please be aware. We got some really heavy showers up in that area. But down here near West Palm Beach Gardens, Boynton Beach, we're relatively clear. A couple of showers here and there, but relatively clear. We're at about 81 degrees, so we're already starting to get back into the hot. You know, enjoyed a couple of days this last week where I walked out in the morning and it was crisp and cool. Did you get a taste of that?
Oh yeah, it was very, very nice. A little breezy, but yeah, nice and cool.
We've got really light winds, about 8 miles an hour. Looking at the radar, and it's going to be a great day for us here in this area. Over on the West Coast, might be a little different story. You got some stuff going on offshore there, but I don't know if it's going to be moving in anytime soon.
Yeah, they're telling us right along the shore area we should be okay. It's going to be just barely offshore and more toward, I'm hoping, Lakeland and stuff like that. Because I am going to wet a line right after this show.
Die hard.
Yep.
It's in her blood, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. I should have fished yesterday. I thought it was going to be too windy, but so I cleaned house. Ugh, I have to get back out on the water.
Some people count sheep when they go to sleep. Pam counts fish jumping in the water. He's a diehard.
I am.
Well, so have you been fishing this last week?
Yeah, I went out Friday, south, and it was beautiful. All the fish are starting to move back in, with the red tide starting to alleviate, and had lost two of my favorite lures to monster snook because I was really targeting redfish, so I didn't have a heavy leader on. But I just had a blast. We must have got 25 snook in different areas as we were yakking. Yeah. Nice,
wow.
Some nice trout also.
So the lures, I'm curious now, you lost two lures. I know from experience of talking to you about this, top side lures, were they lures for the top of the water or down the bottom, in the middle of the water, down the bottom? It
was, it's a new lure made by Miradyne, and they call it their scale pattern. And it looks like either they have a couple colors. One looks like a pinfish, and the other one looks what we call like a greenback. And I was using the greenback one because the water was a little murky and it had a little flash to it. And I want to tell you, the fish just went after it. And the other one I like is Uzuri, has what they call a minnow, and it has a little tiny lip on it. And I was using the smallest one. And because of the lip, it goes down maybe about a foot and a half. Because of the lip, it really kind of goes side to side, so it has a lot of flash to it. So those were my two favorites, and I lost one of each of them yesterday.
Doggone it!
I know, I kind of said the fudge word. I had a buddy in a bayou right next to me, and I just hear him start laughing. It was a monster snook. You should have seen its bucket mouth.
Yeah, it is. Well, that's part of going fishing. That's what makes it exciting. There's no guarantees that just because you hook something, you're going to bring it up.
Right. The other thing is, I have people that come in the shop probably at least once a week and asking for like non-corrosive hooks. And we keep trying to tell them that they just don't make them anymore, because you do want a hook that if you don't rinse it and it stays in salt water, that it will deteriorate. So it can come back out of the fish's mouth if, you get a break off, and it usually does that within a couple days.
Really? That quickly?
Yeah. Between the fish moving and pulling on it, they'll come off. They'll break off. I mean, I've caught fish that had jigs in them. Basically, it's grouper. But, the hooks come out fairly quickly, or go through the system fairly quickly.
I don't know why, but I always thought it took some time. I wasn't aware that it could. That's great. A couple of days is great.
Well, to totally deteriorate, yes, it does take probably a couple weeks, but at least you get enough where it'll come back out.
I'm sure the fish is happy.
Look, new piercing.
Oh, Lord have mercy. All right. Well, it's a special morning. I can tell you that. We're still trying to figure out what we're doing. Suffering from this jumping back an hour and going forward an hour. Of course, it's the time of the season where we jump back an hour, and then we get to look forward to, I think it's around Easter time, we'll jump forward an hour and we'll get all messed up, again. So we'll deal with it. We'll work with it. We're resilient, I guess is the word that I'm looking for. So, well, my first guest is here. It looks like he's ready to roll. And Robert with Florida Fisherman Magazine. Good morning, Robert. Welcome to the Fish Florida Show.
Good morning, and yes, we have to cut our evening fishing a little short now, so we're going to lose an hour of daylight, so get out there earlier.
There you
It's
go.
going to get dark at like 5:30.
Yeah, 5:36 today to be exact. Yep. So
Oh my gosh.
I just got done looking at it. So get out there a little early. You know, you can't stay out till 7:30, 8 o'clock anymore, guys. So you got to have to come in early. So get out there earlier.
It would be really nice if
there are a
just
lot
leave
of fish
alone.
being caught. I don't know if you've been looking around, but there are a big grouper coming in on both coasts, and the big bull redfish have arrived up in the northern part of the state. Laura Thompson and her husband Sean sent in a bunch of pictures. They definitely found the big redfish. But a lot of good fishing going on, so get out there earlier so you don't have to stay out in the dark and get eaten by mosquitoes, which are still here.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I was-
Louisiana has mosquitoes that are big enough to come down, pick you up, and take you away.
It's funny.
Louisiana?
You know, people complain about the mosquitoes in the South. I was fishing in the summer in Minnesota, and I swear to you, I have never seen mosquitoes this size. They look like pterodactyls coming after you. You can hear them way before you see them. You know,
Oh, my goodness.
But I guess their season is very short with them, so they grow quickly, I guess, up there. But they are huge.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I think one of the worst places I've ever been during the peak of mosquito season was trying to fish off of a bridge down in the Keys. They literally were getting ready to fly away. I'm not kidding you. I no sooner than I set my bucket down and got ready to cast, there were so many of them all over me. I literally picked my bucket up and ran back to the car. It was unbelievable. I'd never seen anything like
Yeah,
that.
if you're anywhere near the mangroves in the summer, you're done. So
Yeah.
you're
What do
just
you
a
do
food
about that?
supply.
Pam, I know that you're hanging around the mangroves quite a bit. What do you do about that?
I try to stay 25, 30 yards off of them and make long casts. And then otherwise, the only thing you can do, and I hate to do it, is bug spray. But in Florida, it seems like the mosquitoes don't go through your clothing. In Louisiana, they do. And my biggest bothersome is the no-see-ums.
Oh yeah.
So
Which are also in the mangroves.
yeah, I don't care what you put on you. The no-see-ums will come at you. I always have to, if I start to feel them, I got to put a buff on right away or a face mask because they'll get in your throat and up your nose and ugh.
Well,
Yep.
for me, it's become a pain in the proverbial behind because right about the time the dog wants to go out for a walk is when the sun starts to go down. And right about that time is when the mosquitoes go, all right, it's dinner time. And we go walking out there. It's just, oh my goodness. So I'm thinking of
Nothing better to see than a huge swarm of dragonflies. So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And swallowtails. Don't touch those birds. Feed them. Don't hurt the dragonflies.
Yeah.
So what else is being caught your area? Now you're up by the lagoon?
This last little cold front seemed to have pushed some sailfish down. I got 3 sailfish pictures in yesterday.
Nice.
Wow.
So it's apparently that one little cold front we had was enough to start pushing them down at least. And Jack Carlson from Marathon sent me some pictures this morning of some huge dolphin he caught.
Wow.
These are, not little schoolies. These are 30 and 40 pounders that he caught this morning. So that's a good sign. Maybe they're headed back the other way now. So
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, I have a sailfish tournament in Pompano in January. So I want
Do
them
you?
all to stay right there in front of Pompano in January.
yeah, that's a great little fishing spot. I grew up in that town and I fished that inlet so many times when I was a kid. My God.
Yeah.
We
Any
caught
other
a guy
tournaments?
named John Trudell, I think he is now the recreations manager for Lighthouse Point in that area.
Nice.
He and I went fishing off of those docks one morning, and all the charter boats were going out, and our parents dropped us off there, and we fished the inlet and under the bridge and all that all day, and they were going to come pick us up later. We were still there when the fishing boats came back in, and we had a stringer. We must have had 30 snapper,
Oh my goodness.
pompano, all sorts of stuff on this stringer, and the guys from the charter boats are looking at those 2 little kids with a stringer full of fish going, well, hell, we should have stayed with them.
How about the guys who paid the guys in the charter boats? What do you think they were thinking?
Yeah, I know. That's what
gravy.
I meant. They were looking at us like we should have stayed with these guys.
Why did I buy all this time on this boat? I could have sat on the shore and done better.
Yeah, we had snook, we had pompano and snapper, and we had a great day.
Nice.
Yeah, summers on that inlet are phenomenal. So, but yeah, you'll do great out of there. I caught my first sailfish out of that inlet.
Me too.
Out of
1
the
mile
inlet?
directly off the end of the Pompano Pier is where I caught my first sailfish.
That's so funny.
Wow.
That's almost the location where I caught my first sailfish, and it pulled me down all the way. We call it the steeple, the church in Lighthouse Point.
Yeah,
It pulled me all the way there before I
the
landed.
big
it.
pink church.
Yep. It pulled me all that
I grew up
far
right down
before
the
I
street
landed
from the
it.
big pink church.
Yeah.
So,
Now you brought something up that I thought about, and I don't think I've ever asked you about before, Pam. You've hooked into a fish, and the fish is giving you a ride.
A sleigh ride.
yeah.
How often does that happen?
Every single time. That I'm offshore. Kind of,
Wow.
except for tuna. Tuna like to sound. But anytime you get the pelagic, either kingfish or the sailfish, I set my drag fairly lightly because I don't want to pull the hook out and just let them tire down a bit before I can bring them in. And that first sailfish was a monster. It took 45 minutes for her to calm down. But
Wow.
the boat, we did revive her nicely. The boat spent like 15 minutes making sure that they held her nose and trolled her so she was revived before they let her go again.
Oh, so that one wasn't,
That's a
you
good
weren't
thing.
in a kayak on that one.
I was in a kayak.
Oh, you were? Okay.
Yeah, that's the picture you
Had
had.
a boat following.
Yeah, we had a help boat.
Oh, I see. I
And
see. Okay.
that's the guy who took the photo. He jumped in and
All right.
took the photos, and they come with the help boat or the photographer's boat.
Okay.
'Cause
So
I'm-
that must be a kind of an unusual feeling here. You've hooked into something that is so big that it can actually start pulling the vessel that you're in as you're fishing.
I can get a redfish to pull my vessel.
Really?
Yeah. We're skimming the water. I find it almost easier to land them because you're not, I don't know, say you're not fighting as hard, but I think they get more tired because they're dragging you around. It's like when you see the tuna guys
sure.
when they turn around and put a big barrel and let the tuna fight the barrel for a while.
Yeah.
It's kind
Yeah.
of the same thing.
Ah, okay. Wow. To me, that would be an unusual feeling to be in a boat or a vessel of some sort that is of a size that lends itself to the point where you hook a fish and the fish begins to drag you around. That would be kind of,
Yeah.
I think it'd be pretty
There's
cool.
a couple videos out there of people in kayaks fighting Goliath groupers, which looks like it doesn't work out real well. But,
Yeah, that's not
just
smart.
from the videos I've seen, it doesn't look like that's the thing to do, but, I have seen them. So.
That's a good way to flip. Like I said,
I question somebody's sanity. I've seen a couple of videos, and one guy was near a bridge, and he was in a kayak.
Yep.
And the fish that he pulled up was just a monster, an absolute monster. I don't know how he didn't flip over.
yeah, light drag. That's a mistake a lot of offshore people do for their first time out, is they want to turn around and tighten that drag. And if the fish sounds, which means goes straight down, your tendency is to hold on to that rod really tightly. And if you're doing that and the fish goes straight down, it pulls you to the
Not good.
side
You're
and over
going
you
over.
go. Yep.
Yeah. You're rolling over.
You got
Yeah,
it.
you just can't tighten the drag down on groupers, loosen the drag on groupers. They just put you in the rock. So, yeah, I don't think groupers are the way to go. At least big groupers in a kayak doesn't sound like a good thing because you do
No.
have to tighten the drag down
Yeah, I went out
to
and
keep
got
them out of the rocks.
Yeah, I went and got some gags in my kayak, and that was fun, but they averaged 24 to 27 inches. That's all I was targeting. And that in
Are
itself
you on the West Coast?
Yes, sir. In Tampa Bay.
Yeah. Yeah, in fairly shallow water?
30 feet.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
that's we're fishing for grouper in 150 feet of water
Right.
down in the Keys. So,
Yeah. It's a different story. It's a different story.
Yep. But
Well, we
the
are up
fishing has
against
been excellent, and looks like it's coming to be a good winter season. So
How do we reach you if somebody wants to submit a photo?
they just send anything they need for the magazine. They can send articles, videos, pictures, whatever, to at flfishmag.com.
And you can
there's
find
an
Robert
ad running
on,
right now
Facebook
on
as well.
our Facebook page, because it is time to send the stuff in. We will start working on the magazine probably around the 15th. So anybody that's sending stuff in for the next issue, it's time to send it. So.
Well, thank you, Robert. Greatly appreciate it, my friend. I wish you a wonderful day. What's going to be made of it today? It's not going to be one of those, really warm days, it looks like, but it's already starting out that, we're already up into the 80s, if you can believe that.
Now we got some rain, so we're good.
So we're going to cool off in a little while. All right, my friend. God bless you. Thank you for calling in. Always a pleasure to have you on. Ladies and gentlemen, please don't go away. It's the Fish Florida Show.
You're listening to the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riskella. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Do you own a laser printer, copier, or a fax? Well then, listen close to this announcement. Laser Technologies has been providing high-quality, frustration-free toner cartridges that are guaranteed not to harm your equipment for over 20 years. Laser Technologies will save you on your supplies with high quality and fast delivery. Savings up to 50%. Laser Technologies supplies toner, imaging drums, developer and cartridges for most of the major brands. For a price quote, send an email to service@laser-technologies.com. Include your printer make and model for your part number. Call us at 561-792-9600. That's 561-792-9600. Laser Technologies, providing 100% of the quality at a fraction of the price. 561-792-9600.
Que Pasa Mexican Cantina is where friends and neighbors come to connect, share, and celebrate one another in a festive, casual atmosphere. Offering rich, robust flavors of authentic Mexican cuisine, we use only the freshest, finest ingredients. We chop and dice, season and blend, and then cook everything we serve to perfection. One thing that makes Mexican food even better is one of our delicious Best of the Bay margaritas. Our signature series of margarita flavors range from our sweet and fruity mango and strawberry to our hot and juicy jalapeno margarita. Having a busy meeting or getting together and looking for Mexican food? Try our Fast Fax form. It's an easy, fast way to order your favorite Mexican food. We have special platters and layouts for any occasion. The form is super easy to fill out, fax, email, or just call it in. Whether it's here in the restaurant, in your home or office, at Que Pasa we celebrate bringing people together. Que Pasa Mexican Cantina, 10478 Roosevelt Boulevard North Street in the Gateway Shopping Center, 727-330-3663 in St. Petersburg.
Hi folks, I'm Roger from Rogers Gotcha Motoring. If you need a local auto repair shop, Rogers Gotcha Motoring will take care of all of your automotive repair needs. If you need something as simple as an oil change or as complex as an engine overhaul, I have the latest in technology and the knowledge to get the job done right. We've been servicing Pinellas County since 1994 and are conveniently located at 3700 5th Avenue North in St. Petersburg, Florida. If you need service, call now at 727-327-1830 or visit my website at www.rogersgotchamotoring.com or like my Facebook page at Rogers Gotcha Motoring for a complete list of all of our services.
No answer.
So come on over to Rogers, that's me, and get your car service today. And don't forget to shop and support local business. Call now to book your appointment at 727-327-1830. That's 727-327-1830, or swing on by.
Oh, I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing and blowing on when the sun shines all day. It calls me a grouper. So I'm fishing and blowing on. Oh yeah.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. on the WDBF Radio Network. And now, your host, Riscala Stevens.
On the show, we have been discussing the the wonderful idea of going back an hour, going forward an hour, and what that does to your body. My body still thinks that I'm at 9 o'clock right now, or 9:20, and my body feels one way and my mind feels another. So trying to get with the program here. Anyway, good morning to you. Thank you for joining us. This morning I have the one and only Pam Worth with me as my co-host. Pam is one of the top female kayak anglers here in Florida. Good morning, Miss Pam.
Good morning, sir. Glad to join you.
It's always a pleasure to have you on. You bring a unique perspective to the table, to the fishing table, if you will. And then back there in the background, kind of silent right now, not saying a whole lot, is Captain Hook. He's back there taking care of the production and making sure everything's working. Thank you, Captain Hook.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And my next guest, I believe, is on the line, is Mitchell Roffer. Is he on the line with us?
Yes, he is.
He is.
Hey, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I had asked you to come back on, Mitchell. For those who are not familiar with what Mitchell does, tell us a little bit about what you do, Mitchell, before we get into it.
Well, my interest is in fisheries oceanography and looking at habitats, but recently I've been more focused on water quality in the state of Florida. I spent the last 40 years doing research on fish habitats, using particularly satellites and other oceanographic information to monitor fish habitats and conditions that affect the catch of fish, the recruitment, and the management. So recently, unfortunately, I've had to focus on hazardous algae blooms and water quality in the state of Florida, which has dominated my time for at least for the last month, because as it spread to the east coast of Florida, we've been monitoring from satellite from day to day to see how it's moving around and see how many different species of fish that it's been killing.
You know, I want to thank you for what you do. We need more people like this that they keep their eyes peeled, if you will, and they're paying close attention to what's going on with regard to our water. Mitchell also happens to be and correct me if I'm mistaken, but he also happens to be a marine biologist. Is that correct?
That's correct. I received my PhD from the University of Miami Rosenstiel School down in Miami many years ago.
So, in your opinion, and I see this happening now more and more on the East Coast. So, you know, you've been on the show with me before, and we discussed what was pretty much what was going on the West Coast. But now we're looking and seeing more and more occurring on the East Coast. What can you contribute that to?
So, we're not totally sure if the red tide on the East Coast is the exact same one that came from the West Coast, but it's likely that red tide from the West Coast got caught in the Gulf Stream or got pulled along the western boundary of the Gulf Stream. And then approximately at the same time that a big bulge of nutrient-enriched water came out of Port St. Lucie and spread northward, we had a substantial amount of red tide in Vero Beach, Melbourne Beach, all the way up to Cocoa and even Ponce Inlet. And concurrently with that, we had all sorts of fish kills. It first started off to be only mullet, and then it was parrotfish and yellowtail and bluefish and all sorts of other species of fish, which are very important as part of our ecosystem.
And it's not limited to fish. Once the fish start to die, the birds eat the fish and the birds die. Am I correct?
Correct. I haven't seen any dead birds. I've seen an absence of birds with the aerosol making it very difficult for humans to breathe. I suspect it works the same way with marine mammals as well as birds. We haven't seen any dead porpoises. I haven't seen any dead turtles. I haven't seen any reports on the East Coast. I know on the West Coast there certainly were. I know tarpon have also been reported to have died off of Sebastian Inlet. So it's a major kill. It's going to affect our ecosystem for years to come, and it's all been fueled by man-made nutrients coming from homeowners and industrial and runoff and Lake Okeechobee.
So there's a wide variety of avenues that, if you want to use the word responsible, that are contributing to this disaster. This is really a man-made disaster, and this is not something, you know, I particularly like to talk about, but this is something that is happening, and we can't just turn our back on it and close our eyes and pretend it's going to go away and do nothing, because it's not going to go away, and the evidence of that is that it's here. And I don't know how bad it is where you are, Mitchell, but I've seen some of the posts that you've put up, and it would certainly concern me greatly to see what some of the stuff that you have put up. It's even probably 100 times worse on the other side of the state. If we don't stand up for clean water, my friends, we're only hurting ourselves. Our bodies are 75 to 80% water. So if the very thing that our body is made up of, if we decide that we're not going to take care of the surrounding areas of water, it eventually is going to catch up to your health. And, you know, Mitchell brought something up, which was occurring on the other side of the state as well. You can't breathe around this stuff. It literally gets into your lungs and irritates your lungs. Some people have had to go to the hospital because this is so bad. So for us to sit back, and this is why I wanted Mitchell on. This is not something I want to focus on, but this is something we should know about. This is something that should be on the front of our minds, because water is on three sides of this state. We need to take care of our water. If we don't take care of our water, what is going to be left for us? In my opinion, nothing. And it's going to be people like Mitchell who bring it out into the spotlight. Doesn't have a political agenda. He just wants people to know this is what's going on with our water. By the way, Mitchell, while I'm thinking about it, what can we do in order to try to rectify this situation? Do you, and I don't want to bring politics into it, but I know you know of some of the political players here. Are any of them behind the clean water movement?
Well, there are plenty of people behind the clean water movement. And, you know, regardless who wins in the election Tuesday, it's up to us citizens to engage our politicians, writing letters, making phone calls. Every single one makes a difference. And, you were talking about breathing before. You know, in Melbourne Beach, I had trouble breathing. I had to get a special mask so I could walk on the beach and identify fish. We had to put a special air filter in our house because we live on the beach and we're getting air underneath the windows, underneath our sliding glass windows, making it difficult and uncomfortable to breathe in the house. So it's dangerous. You know, unfortunately, it's not getting the public health interest and publicity that it really demands. I have talked with people who have talked to physicians down in Martin County that people are going to hospitals with irritation in their lungs, trouble breathing, and microcystis is causing problems as well. So it's a major issue. I mean, to me, in terms of the politics, just look who's been in office all along and what's the result. And the water quality of the state of Florida is directly a result of the actions in Tallahassee. Some of the stuff out of Lake Okeechobee is a national event. It goes as high as the president. It's the Army Corps of Engineers and the misguided nature of that organization for the last 20 and 30 years. But
50.
You know, if you're thinking about people who to vote for, who not to vote for come the election, just look who's been in office, and I think you should be able to make a quick decision. I tell people, if you're happy with the red tide and you're happy with all the fish kills, then continue to vote for the people who are in office. If not, then change something. That's how I feel. And I've been voting strictly on the basis of clean water and clean air and healthy ecosystems, and not on political party.
Well, the thing that I like that you brought up is most people think it's one industry that's creating 100% of the problem. And you're bringing up the fact that it's every single person, basically, that's out there. It's not just one industry. It's septic tanks. It's over-fertilization, the runoff of that, of our yards and our golf courses. And I appreciate that people need to see that this is wider than just one industry out there.
Oh, clearly. It's you know, we discussed this before. It's everyone's personal responsibility. It's this corporate responsibility. If you use water, put it back in the system clean as you used it, or cleaner. I mean, I remember growing up and being in the Scouts, and you go to a campsite, and the idea was to leave the campsite so no one realized that you were there. Right. Well, the same responsibility could happen with water. If you use water, then clean it. You know, you certainly don't pollute it. And corporations have to realize that they have to have responsibility to clean the water as part of their business plan. Municipalities, when they let a new development come in, or they approve for a new mall, well, what are they doing with the water that runs off from the parking lots? All this is part of the pollution problem, whether it's nitrogen, phosphorus, oil, other chemicals. It's about time that people take responsibility.
Well said.
I agree. I absolutely agree. Again, it's not it's not a happy subject, and it's not a subject I particularly care to focus on, but it's something that is happening and something that really does require attention. And Mitchell brought up a good point. Regardless of whoever is in office, it's really our responsibility, yours and mine, because it's going to benefit you and me. There's no telling what goes through their minds up there in Never Ever Land, wherever they are, whether that be in Tallahassee or Washington, D.C. If they hear the squeaky wheel, I believe that the squeaky wheel will eventually get the oil. We need to be the squeaky wheel, my friends. We need to be writing emails, making phone calls. And I'm not talking about one phone call. This has to be an ongoing, and I don't want to use the word like a war, but a project. Campaign. This is something, because in a way we are in a war. What happens if we completely ruin the very thing that gives us life? Are you not going to be fighting for your very life? Mitchell brought up a good point. He had to buy a special filter for the inside of his house. We're not even talking about the outside anymore. Now it's coming to the inside of the house. So again, I urge all of you who are listening, and if you're not here in Florida and you think, oh, well, it doesn't affect me, you're sadly mistaken, because anything they can do to us here in Florida, they can do to wherever you are. Look at what happened in Flint, Michigan, and still going on. And I believe because not enough people are binding together and demanding that it be, I can't think of the word, rectified. So it's going to be, Mitchell, you're absolutely right, and I 100% agree with you. It's going to be up to us.
It is, and just on the news last night that I saw in Michigan that they're selling water to a bottling company, it happens to be Nestle, giving away hundreds of thousands of gallons a day for a minimum amount of price, not even considering what's happening with the ecosystem there, and the water. We need this water. It's not just going away and disappearing into the ocean. Every ounce we need, the population is increasing so much. People now are talking about the red tide along the East Coast. This last week, because of the winds were out of the north and northwest, it's lessened. It's pushed the red tide further offshore. Some of it's gone into the Gulf Stream and dissipating. Hopefully it's not going into Jacksonville, then coming right back down the coast. But at the same time, when the wind has been out of the northwest and west, it's pushed it back along the west coast. So now from Pinellas County down to Charlotte County, it's increased again. So for a couple of weeks, they felt relieved it was disappearing when we had northeast and east winds. Well, it was just pushing it further off the coast. And this is a red tide that seems to have now been in business for a year. The oldest one was 2006 when it lasted 17 months when it started on the west coast. Yes, it's a naturally occurring event, but again, man-made nutrients are fueling this, supercharging it. And now it's spread to the East Coast, and hopefully it won't spread to the Carolinas. I mean, cold water slows it down, but it doesn't destroy it until the water gets very, very cold and very, very fresh. So I remember in 2006, the red tide that we had in Central Florida and the East Coast came from Jacksonville. The water spread. The red tide came from the West Coast, got it to the Gulf Stream, and then a couple Gulf Stream eddies and filaments pushed the Gulf Stream water closer to the coast. The red tide took hold in Jacksonville because of the nutrients that they put out there. It comes out of the St. Johns River. And then slowly but surely, week by week, you could follow it south along the coast until the Thanksgiving, Christmas period where it was terrible. Couldn't go out and breathe. We didn't have the fish kills for some reason then. I don't understand why, but we certainly have the fish kills now.
How sad. How sad. Yep. This is, why do we live in Florida? I mean, I would think that the majority of people, particularly from the central part of Florida down, live in Florida because of the water, because of the weather that we have that allows us to be on the water. I can't get enough of the water. I love being near the water. I love being on the water. I love fishing. And for me to have the thought that could be destroyed really it does upset me, because I remember as a child how clean the water was. I grew up in Coral Gables, which is a small city inside of Miami, and we had saltwater canals. Anything you could catch in the bay, you could catch in these canals, from barracuda to grouper to snapper, and take them home and eat them, and they were clean fish. That canal, I went to visit that canal 6 or 7 years ago. It was heartbreaking. I don't think I would pee in that canal. It was so bad. The amount of pollution that we have permitted is just beyond my greatest imagination. And we've got to get to a point where we say enough. This is enough. We need to start reversing this. We need to be more concerned about what is going on. The very thing that gives us life is water.
Yeah, people talk about, well, let's deregulate because it's bad for business. In reality, clean water and clean air is the economic engine around the country, if not the world, certainly in the state of Florida. If we don't have clean water, we don't have tourism, we don't have people fishing, we don't have people using boats, which is our primary industry in the state of Florida.
Yeah.
Dr. Mitchell, do you have kind of a suggestion on an everyday homeowner, what the little tiny bit that they might be able to do to help out and magnify this over the population in the state? Just little tips for lawn or water use?
Tips are, start at your own house, stop fertilizing your lawns. We don't need green lawns. There's plenty of nitrogen that comes from the atmosphere that we don't need to have these so-called beautiful lawns. And then educate your neighbors. Make sure that your septic tank is working well. It's not dripping into the streets. It's not wet. If you see wet grass from your septic tank, then you need to have it fixed. And you need to educate your neighbors as well and the other people around you in your neighborhood. What happens to you runs downhill, so it spreads out. You may think that you're not near a canal or something, but in reality, we're all near a canal because the water slowly drifts down into it runs off into our canals, it runs off into our rivers and lakes and ponds, and then that pollutes. So it's just as easy as just mentioning to your neighbor when you see them having a company coming over and spraying their lawns with fertilizer and pesticides, and remind them that's going into the water. Those dead fish that you're seeing is directly related to what you're putting on your lawn and what you're doing in your house. And if you have an opportunity to have to change your septic, then get one of these new modern septic tank systems. Yes, it costs a little bit more to you, but over 10, 20 years, that cost is really small, and it really makes a big difference on what's going into the lagoon. Every ounce of fertilizer that's not put in, every ounce of nutrients that's not going into the system helps. And this is a process that's taken us 20 years, 25 years to ruin. It's not going to be cured overnight. The ecosystem will come back. If we act towards it and let Mother Nature do her job, she will re-clean the water and we'll be fine. But it's going to take 10 or 15 years to fix this. It's not going to happen overnight.
Well, I got to take a break. Mitchell, thank you so much for coming on. I greatly appreciate it. I wish you a wonderful day, sir. And I look forward to having you come back on again. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Fish Florida Show. We will be right back.
You're listening to the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riskella. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Download the Fish Florida mobile app to plan your boating, fishing, or hunting trip. You can find your tide reports, buoy reports, get a fishing license, and even find someone to go fishing with. Plus great products and services from all our media partners. And oh yeah, you can get the Fish Florida Show on the app. Sundays at 8 a.m. Eastern here on the WDBF radio networks. So download the Fish Florida mobile app to plan your boating, fishing, or hunting trip and tune in.
Battles aren't won solely on the field. That's a common misconception. Battles are won within, over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. In that place where promises are kept. Promises to oneself.
This is a physical training event.
Promises to one's community.
Healthy people move debris out of their house.
Promises to one's country. In the heart of every Marine, you'll find a promise. A promise forever kept. A promise of battles won.
Today, my new dad and I shot off a rocket in the park.
Today, my new son and I failed to shoot off a rocket.
He knew exactly what to do.
I had no clue what I was doing.
We set up the rocket. Hit ignition. And then
nothing. Ha 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 ha. Sometimes I laugh when I'm frustrated.
Then out of nowhere, the rocket launched into the air.
The rocket did get into the air.
I've never seen anything fly so high.
And then crashed into a kite.
Look out! Look out!
And then the pond.
I'll never forget that day.
I'll never forget that day, even if I tried.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
It took me a long time to be able to say Chandler has cancer, because that is such a scary word. St. Jude takes care of absolutely everything. And knowing that we don't have to pay for all of the medical expenses, that's huge.
St. Jude allowed me to focus on being a mom to Bryce. And sometimes I'm just in awe of the impact St. Jude has, not only on this community, but the world.
St. Jude is uniquely positioned to advance the cures of pediatric cancer, I think better than any other institution in the world. The contributions make a big difference.
Donors are important to us because you get the feeling that you have a team behind you. We have the resources and we have the focus. And so if St. Jude doesn't do it, who will?
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures. Saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
My vehicle was sent 6 feet in the air in a ball of fire. I thought I was going to die.
It ripped my arm off. It broke my right femur.
I took such a hard blow to the head that my retina was torn apart.
Say a prayer for peace.
I'm Trace Atkins. I want to tell you about these true American heroes and how you can show your thanks by helping them through Wounded Warrior Project.
They've reached out to us as a family, and they never forgot about us.
The job of helping thousands of our wounded warriors rebuild their lives is massive and growing every day. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Many of these service members suffer traumatic brain injury and post-traumatic stress disorder.
They helped me basically put my life back together.
If it wasn't for Wounded Warrior Project, I would be a statistic right now. I would have been one of those soldiers who came home and committed suicide.
I'm in the fields of Vietnam, the mountains of Afghanistan.
Your gift today of $19 a month can help us provide the programs and services desperately needed by our wounded service members. Call or go online with a pledge and you'll receive this Wounded Warrior Project blanket. Make that call now.
Say a prayer for peace.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. on the WDBF Radio Network. And now, your host, Riscala Stevens.
Well, a very good morning to you if you're just joining. It has been an exciting morning for me, at least. I'm trying to figure out my body is going one way, my mind's going another. This idea of going back an hour and expecting everything to just work smoothly. In my life, it's not that way. It's been a little bit on the confusing side this morning, but I'm happy to have you here listening with us. It's always an honor and a privilege, and I mean that, to have you tune in and listen to the Fish Florida Show. This morning I have Pam Worth. She's one of the top female kayak anglers with me. Good morning, Miss Pam.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for inviting me.
It's always a pleasure. And in the background we have the one and only Captain Hook. He's back there making sure everything's working.
Yeah, that's right. We're still at it.
So, Captain Hook, have you been fishing this last week?
Yeah, we fished all week. I've been over on the East Coast in the Edgewater area, and the bite had slowed down a little bit, but I was happy to see that all the small fish were doing pretty well, like the mangrove snappers, the grunts. Everything was like a baby nursery, and all the fish were kind of small, but they were plentiful and they were all over the place. But as the weather started to change toward the end of the week, the bite kind of fell off. So I think it was just a 1 or 2 day deal there, and because we had a low pressure area coming through, and then the bite seems to slow up just a bit there.
So I take it you took the boat out fishing?
No, Nope. I was just fishing right off the dock. We have a 150-foot dock that goes out into the intercoastal over there. So it's like you're sitting on a boat, but we were working on the boat all week and, normal take care of a boat, break out another 1,000,
Oh, do I remember those days. My goodness.
That's why I like my kayak.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, I know when I had a boat, it was a constant job to keep everything maintained. How is that with a kayak? I would imagine it's not quite as severe with a kayak.
Nope. After I use it, I always rinse it down, kind of wipe it down. About once a month I think it's called 309. It's a protectant, UVC protectant. And then about once every other month, I take my pedal system down to Bill Jackson's and just make sure that everything's in good working order and it's lubed and greased and everything, all the seals are sound. And that's it. I mean, there's really zero maintenance.
So it's little to none with regard, again, more and more I'm kind of liking the idea of having a kayak. I'm just concerned that if I catch something, the thing will pull me over.
Nah, we'll go out. We'll start you slow. We'll start, in fresh water and then, move up to some small snook and some redfish.
You'll probably give me a pin hook and have
Captain
me go
Hook says swimming pool.
Oh my.
The kayaks today are very, very stable. I mean, they're made for different reasons. There's kayaks that are made definitely to go through the surf. They're long and narrow. And then you have the kayaks that are made for speed, again, long and narrow. And you have the fishing kayaks that are a little broader and a lot more stable. And like I said, I'm no young chicken and I can stand up in mine, all day long if I wanted to.
I like the idea because I think back that when I was younger, when I was growing up, what we would do is we would literally take a tackle box and a fishing rod and a bucket. We wouldn't take any bait with us. We'd go down to the canals and there was a variety of ways we could catch bait fish and then use the bait fish for bait. It's kind of an independent kind of feeling. That's what I envision in my mind, having set up kind of like yours. It's not so heavy that you couldn't drag it on the sand, for example, down the beach and put it in the water.
Right.
And then you have your own power. So you don't have to rely on a battery or gasoline or anything like that. It's your own body is the power.
All right.
So you're not, again, it's a very kind of an independent, that's what I like about the idea of this thing. It's kind of, you're not relying on, an electric motor or a gasoline motor. You're not relying on, oh my gosh, I got to get it to a point where I can get the trailer down to a point so I can get the boat off. It's something that is, like halfway there, so to speak.
Yeah, you can make it as simple or as complicated as you want. A friend of mine, he's called Yak Rat, Bobby. He kite fishes. So he's kite fishes off a Hobie. He'll come with, his full electronics. He probably has 6 or 7 rods that are out there and the kite.
On a kayak?
Yeah, he kite fishes off the kayak. I mean, he's a very talented young man. He's at, UCF. And then you have people that just no rod holders. They have a paddle and one rod and a couple lures and some hooks and they'll go out. So you can go to either extreme on how complicated you want your kayak to be. So it's very, very personal.
No idea. Wow.
And yeah, mine, the nice thing about it is if I see a spot that looks interesting, because I play on Google Maps all day long, and I'll just pull over the side of the road, launch the kayak, and I'm gone.
To me, that's great. That's, again, you're not worried about, I remember the days when I had my Wellcraft, and it wasn't a big boat, but it wasn't a small boat by any imagination. But I had to worry about where could I put the boat in, and be concerned with the kind of ramp, because some of the ramps that were down there in the Keys were treacherous. For a boat like mine was, you get it in the water, you're not going to get it back out. I learned that the hard way. That happened to me once. I had to literally drive like 5 miles south of where I was in order to get the boat back on the trailer because of the ramp it just dropped off so quickly. I couldn't get the boat back on it.
Wow.
So having something like this where it's heavy, you may not be able to pick it up completely, but if you got soft ground, grass or sand or something, you can drag it along and
they make carts.
Put it in the water and go.
Yeah, we call them wheels or carts, and Railblazer makes a beautiful cart that goes down there. Wheelies has, the big balloon tires. So there's that strap on to the bottom of your kayak. And what I do is I weigh the back end down so the nose comes up. And it's very light. You're not lifting any of the weight of the kayak. It's all on the wheels, and you just pull it along and away you go.
I love it.
Yep.
That's, we're going to have to talk more about that because that's something that really catches my interest. One of the things that we used to enjoy so much, as kids was, and we didn't even realize it at the time. We didn't have all this technology we have today, all these games and smartphones and all this stuff. Our idea of going out and having fun was to literally leave at the time that the sun came up and come home when the sun came down. And many days were spent on the water. I had a friend of mine who had an 18-foot canoe. We would paddle up and down the canals and just have a glorious time, have the best times of our lives. And we didn't rely on technology. We didn't rely on, did we have enough gas or did we have enough juice left in the battery to run the engine, run the motor down to get us back. We relied on ourselves. And that, to me, is kind of an independent thing. And that's why what I envision with the kind of setup that you have. And I didn't realize that you said this other guy, seven rods? Six or seven rods?
Mm-hmm. Cause you've got one that just flies a kite.
Wow. Yeah, I had no idea it could be so sophisticated. To me, again, I'm ignorant. I don't know much about kayaks. Whatever I know, I've gotten from you.
You should have seen my face when I saw it. Talk about naive. I'm like, Bobby, what the heck are you doing? It looked like he was going to go out there and launch, the 4th of July or something with all these rod holders. God bless. He's a very talented angler. Very talented. He fishes a lot of the Banana River now.
If you can have the opportunity, get a picture. I'd like to see that setup.
Okay.
Now, does he pedal or does he use a motor?
He's got a, Hobie. So it's a pedal system with the fins. Mm-hmm.
See, again, that's my kind of, to me, it's an independent way of doing things. You're not so dependent upon something, God forbid, when I had my Wellcraft, God forbid if something happened to the engine, you're dead in the water, literally dead in the water. Here you've got yourself to take care of it. That's the thing I like about it.
Yeah, and
the ability to, I think you told me it's like just a couple of inches to float too, right?
Yep, a few inches. And if something happened to my pedal system, it's mandated that you keep a paddle on your boat anyway, and I'll paddle in.
Wow. Yep.
Yeah,
well,
good times. I'm going to get you in one.
Yeah. I was going to ask you something. My mind just went completely blank.
Well, I have a friend down in Boynton, and which isn't too far from you. And what we're going to do, we'll start inshore, and I'll take you. We'll go snook fishing.
All right.
Okay, we're going to find a good time when the weather's really nice, and we'll set it up, and we'll do a Saturday or a Friday. And we'll go snook fishing.
Wow, it sounds like a blast. Yeah. Now, again, I'm ignorant about this. Are we allowed to keep them or we have to put them back?
Snook, I believe on your coast are still in season. Over here on the West Coast, from basically Pinellas down south, it's only catch and release because of the red tide. But on your side, you are allowed to harvest.
Oh, great. So maybe I can get some fish for dinner.
It's one of the best eating fish. You just need to remember to rinse the meat before you cook it. The nickname is the soap fish. So if you don't rinse the meat, it tastes a little bit like ivory soap. You rinse the meat and it's the whitest, cleanest you've ever seen.
Wow. Well, I had somebody I asked to call in. I think they're on the line. Is that Betty that's on the line with us this morning?
Yes, this is Betty. Are you talking about snook?
Oh. What are we talking about, Pam?
Snook.
Yeah, my favorite is to cook it in bacon grease.
Ooh.
Give it that flavor.
Everything is good in bacon.
Well, I asked Betty to call in for a few minutes so we could give her a little bit of a plug. Betty is with, what is it, Betty? I can't think of it.
Ladies Let's Go Fishing.
That's where she's one of the people who catches my heartstrings because she's out there helping other people, which is one of the greatest things. So very quickly, I'm almost out of time. Betty, how do people find out about what you do?
Visit ladiesletsgofishing.com website or call 954-475-9068. And on our website, we have some amazing pictures of our Keys event where ladies came from California, Arizona, Virginia, and they released sailfish. They caught mahi, blackfin tuna, kingfish, snook, trout. It was crazy.
Wow. If you would, Betty, if you have an opportunity, send me some pictures and I'll put them up on the Facebook site so people can see what it is that you're doing.
Oh, for sure.
Anyway, I apologize. I'm up against a break, and it's a hard break. It's the top of the hour break. I've got to go. Betty Bowman with Ladies Let's Go Fishing. Thank you so much.
All righty. With Ladies
Talk
Catch
to you
'em Up.
soon. Yep, You're
listening to the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riskella. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Do you own a laser printer, copier, or a fax? Well then, listen close to this announcement. Laser Technologies has been providing high-quality, frustration-free toner cartridges that are guaranteed not to harm your equipment for over 20 years. Laser Technologies will save you on your supplies with high quality and fast delivery. Savings up to 50%. Laser Technologies supplies toner, imaging drums, developer and cartridges for most of the major brands. For a price quote, send an email to service@laser-technologies.com. Include your printer make and model for your part number. Call us at 561-792-9600. That's 561-792-9600. Laser Technologies, providing 100% of the quality at a fraction of the price. 561-792-9600.
Hi folks, I'm Roger from Rogers Gotcha Motoring. If you need a local auto repair shop, Rogers Gotcha Motoring will take care of all of your automotive repair needs. If you need something as simple as an oil change or as complex as an engine overhaul, I have the latest in technology and the knowledge to get the job done right. We've been servicing Pinellas County since 1994 and are conveniently located at 3700 5th Avenue North in St. Petersburg, Florida. If you need service, call now at 727-327-1830 or visit my website at www.rogersgotchamotoring.com or like my Facebook page at Rogers Gotcha Motoring for a complete list of all of our services. So come on over to Rogers, that's me, and get your car service today. And don't forget to shop and support local business. Call now to book your appointment at 727-327-1830. That's 727-327-1830, or swing on by.
Que Pasa Mexican Cantina is where friends and neighbors come to connect, share, and celebrate one another in a festive, casual atmosphere. Offering rich, robust flavors of authentic Mexican cuisine, we use only the freshest, finest ingredients. We chop and dice, season and blend, and then cook everything we serve to perfection. One thing that makes Mexican food even better is one of our delicious Best of the Bay margaritas. Our signature series of margarita flavors range from our sweet and fruity mango and strawberry to our hot and juicy jalapeno margarita. Having a busy meeting or getting together and looking for Mexican food? Try our Fast Fax form. It's an easy, fast way to order your favorite Mexican food. We have special platters and layouts for any occasion. The form is super easy to fill out, fax, email, or just call it in. Whether it's here in the restaurant, in your home or office, at Que Pasa we celebrate bringing people together. Que Pasa Mexican Cantina, 10478 Roosevelt Boulevard North Street in the Gateway Shopping Center, 727-330-3663 in St. Petersburg.
Test 1 2 3. Test 1 2 3. Hey, this is Captain Hook for Statewide Pest Control Services. They've been serving the west coast of Florida since 1987. Statewide does it all. Pest control, termites, lawns, mosquitoes, tent fumigations, etc. This announcement is from their mold division. Since Hurricane Charlie in 2004, all their personnel are certified in mold and moisture control. Their two-step services are guaranteed to get you back in your home quicker and in most cases paid by your insurance company. Give them a call at 877-488-7378. That's Statewide Pest Control Services for all your pest and mold control needs, serving Florida from Pasco to Lee counties. Statewide Pest Control Services, 877-488-7378. 877-488-7378. That's 877-488-7378. You're listening to WDBFradio.com, a tune-in station.
WDBFradio.com. 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 I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing in Florida when the sun shines all day. They call me a grouper. So I'm fishing in Florida. Oh yeah.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. on the WDBF Radio Network. And now your host, Riscala Stevens.
Back, it is the Fish Florida Show. We've already completed an hour. It has gone by so quickly. It seems to be the case when we're having fun. But if you're just joining us, you can always find whatever you've missed. Later on in the afternoon, we do replay the show at 3 p.m. And for those of you who have insomnia, we do replay the show again at 4 a.m. in the morning. And if you missed both of those, you can always find the archives. Archives are up at thefishfloridashow.com. We also have a YouTube channel, Fish Florida Show. And you can always look up the archives, find anything that you missed there. And always a pleasure, always an honor and a privilege to have you listening. So thank you for doing that. This morning I have one of the top female kayak anglers here in Florida, Miss Pam Worth. She's always brings a unique perspective because she's literally at the water's level fishing. And some of the fish that she's caught, one of the pictures that I have, very impressive picture of her holding a sailfish that's probably 3/4 the length of the kayak that she's in. So good morning to you, Miss Pam.
Good morning, sir, and thank you for the invitation.
Oh, it's always a pleasure. And in the background we have Captain Hook. He's the one who makes everything work. Thank you, Captain Hook. Appreciate that, sir.
No problem, my friend.
And I believe we have the next guest is up and available. Is he on the line with us now?
Yes, he is.
I am.
Mm-hmm.
I got Captain James Beers.
All right. Let's, once again, Pam, if you would, since you're familiar with who it is, let's introduce him.
Okay. Captain James Beers. He's, with local knowledge here in the Bay Area. He's been fishing bay waters, I'd say, for over 20 years, even though he's a young man. And one of the top charter captains probably in the industry right now. Oh, and I'm kind of looking, James, if you don't mind. I know you're headed to a seafood festival, so I want a little info on that. But can you give me just a little bit of a report in the Bay Area, how we're doing, and some of the fish that you've been targeting?
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for the introduction, Pam. The fishing the last few days has been really good, especially with the temperature coming down. You know, we're seeing the water clear up around the bay quickly. In fact, I was on the water yesterday, and even in the wind, I was surprised by how clear the water was in the middle part of the bay. I think the biggest change this week for the charters I've been running is the numbers of trout that we're seeing move onto the deeper edges of the grass flats, kind of in those potholes. You know, right where the flat begins, that's where they're staging up. We've had a low tide stage for most of the week. But the trout fishing's been good. We're seeing a lot of fish as we're trolling motor in over the potholes to make it into the mangroves. So that's encouraging. I think with this weather stabilizing next week, I think we're going to see a good bite for them. And then the snook bite has also been on fire. You know, they're loving it. Temperatures, water temps the last 2 days have been bouncing around for the most part between 75, 77 degrees. So they're very happy. And we're seeing a sustained bite on those fish. Whereas normally we'd set up on fish and maybe work them for 15, 20 minutes before we'd have to move. For most of the day, the last few days, we've been able to kind of leave fish biting and decide to go chase something else.
That's great. And what are you using? Are you a particular bait or anything? Or shrimp?
Yeah, so most of the charters that I'm doing right now are live bait. So we're typically using pilchers, scale sardines, whitebait, greenbacks. I know our area has a lot of names for those. Of which catching that bait has been very easy all around the bay. Every grass flat I've been on, I've seen a healthy population of bait fish. You know, so if that's something you want to get out there and get, just look for the birds. I mean, they are everywhere, and these big pelicans, they're, you know, dive bombing on the bait schools. So it's a healthy population of bait fish right now.
How much longer do you think the bait's going to be in the bay?
It's hard to say. That's really temperature related. You know, last year, we were seeing bait on the flats all the way through late December. And it wasn't till our first real cold snap, that it started to move off those flats. So we could have it for another 2 months. It's really just going to be weather driven. But I will say, with the amount of bait that you're seeing on the flats, I've got some trips coming up this week with a few more experienced anglers that we're getting excited to do some plug fishing and throw some miridines and maybe some crazy colors to kind of work through these bait pods where we know there's bluefish, trout, snook attacking them. Sometimes something that looks a little bit different, kind of moving it through there and separating those bait schools can be very productive and even outfish live bait.
Very good. Very good to know. Have you tried, I brought it up earlier, that new Miralure, Miridine by Miralure, the scaled?
So I haven't. I have about 3 in my truck that I'm, you know, dying to get out there. I have a trip with one person Tuesday, so I think that's when we're going to debut those. But if it's as good as any of the other Miralures, I'm sure it's going to work great.
I used it on Friday, and I lost it on Friday.
Oh no!
Yeah, I was back in the shop yesterday buying more. So
yeah, they look incredible.
Yeah, what seafood festival are you headed to? And sorry for interrupting your family plans.
Yeah, I'm off today. So down in Ruskin, there's it's an annual seafood festival out of Simmons Park. I've got a friend whose wife is going to have a booth there set up doing sunglasses and things, so I want to go visit them. But I've been in years past. It's a great time. It's a great thing for anybody of all ages, whether you have kids, grandparents. You know, I've got everyone from my family going today. Lots of seafood, lots of shrimp, and plenty of other activities and local businesses represented out there.
Excellent. And if somebody had more questions than we have time today, how do they reach you, Captain?
Well, my business name is Local Knowledge Fishing Adventures, and I'm Captain James Beers. My website is localknowledgefishing.com. But if you want to go the old-fashioned way and just give me a call on the phone, it's 813-625-2067.
Could you say that number one more time, please?
Yeah, 813-625-2067.
Cool. And out of all the fish out there, I'm going to jump back to fishing again for a second. What is your favorite fish to target?
Well, I get asked that a lot, and it's usually the one I'm not fishing for. When I'm fishing for redfish, I want to go tarpon fishing, and when I'm tarpon fishing, I want to go snook fishing. So I think that the most rewarding, though, for me is redfish on artificial lures. That's, if I could only do one style of fishing, you know, for the rest of my days, I'd say it'd be redfish with artificials.
I think I agree with you there on that one. And what's so cool is I've seen you also not only with the experienced angler, but you are really great with families and young anglers too. What's your secret with that?
Well, it certainly helps to have, you know, children of my own and, you know, fish with my family. So, you know, I'm fortunate enough to be able to kind of experiment with them. But, you know, I really think it's about, early on in my charter days, you know, I was always searching for the trophy fish every time, and what I would consider a trophy. And then I think when it dawned on me that, you know, what's a trophy for me isn't always a trophy for everyone else. Sometimes a 24-inch snook, you know, could be the fish of a lifetime for somebody. So what I found with families, and kids especially, is getting them engaged. And ideally, you want to have a quick bite, right? You want to get somewhere and just get the fish biting, but it doesn't always happen. When that happens, it's easy. It's easy to keep them involved. But, you know, I make it a learning experience. I try to point out the things that are interesting on the water, the dolphins, the mullet. Hey, come up to the front with me. Let's run the trolling motor. Look at all these pinfish in this pothole. So that way they're never sitting idly and they don't have a chance to get bored. So I guess that's what I found to work. Let them play around with the bait and the bait well, but just to keep them busy and engaged, and also know when it's time to go. Don't try to extend it. Don't try to turn it into an all-day affair. If you start to notice that they're losing interest.
Very good. Very good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for me, fishing was a vital part of the family for me, and family, in my experience of life, has been the most important thing for me. We're a very close-knit family. I tell people my brother's my best friend. We utilized fishing as an experience for the family because there is such an attack on the family that has been ongoing for many, many decades. So one of the things that I express to people is you can go out there, you can share this experience as a family and help build the relationships, strengthen the relationships of the family, and enjoy it. Fishing can be very, very enjoyable. That's probably why so many people do it, because they find different degrees of enjoyment from fishing. For me, it was a variety of things. As I grew older, what fishing did for me was a relaxation period, a period of where you're, especially out on the water, where you're surrounded by this beautiful blue, deep blue water. And the days that I remember the most were the days when it's just a light 1 to 2 foot waves out there, and it's peaceful, it's serene, it's something that is always, for me, in my experience of life, has always been a benefit to me. So when I hear about somebody like you who's talking with kids and stuff like that, that really, I thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, and I think you bring up a great point. With my family, my children, it's really about the disconnect and getting out there and getting away from the technology for a minute or two. So I definitely see a lot of value in the points you bring up.
Yes, it's and building the relationship. You're strengthening your relationship, because it doesn't require really a rocket scientist to see what an attack there is on the family unit itself here in this country. Families are being forced, for whatever, a myriad of reasons, to be pushed apart. We need all the help we can to build that glue, to build those bonds, to hold us together. This country was built on the backs of families. It wasn't built on the backs of broken families. It was built on the backs of families, and particularly families who had their own small businesses. This is one of my passions. I'm a small business owner. My family spent so much time doing fishing, which my mom enjoyed it, my dad enjoyed it, I loved it, my brother loved it. My friends, I have one friend who I'm still in contact with that I literally grew up with, and one of the things he told me that he was so inspired about our family is that without fail on Sundays we would do something. 90% of the time it would be go fishing, and we would take him with us and he would have a blast.
Yeah. James, you have some great photos on your Instagram of your son, your kids, and other youth anglers. So I'm just impressed on how well you take care of them and your goal of making sure that, number one, they're all having a good time. And I fished with you, and I have thoroughly enjoyed it. Your boat is amazing.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, if you want, send me some pictures.
Yeah.
Pam, you can give him my email address. I think you have my email address. And give him my email address and have him send some pictures. We'll put it up on the Facebook page and let people see what some of the stuff that he's done.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay. Well, I'll catch you on Monday and we'll get that done.
And I want to take the opportunity while I'm thinking about it, because my memory is like the pits. Thank you for stepping up to the plate literally at the last moment. Mike Simcoe was to be on with us this morning, but he sent me a text at 6:00 in the morning. I've got an offer to go out, and I've got to go. It's one of those things where, it's you do or you don't, and if you don't, you're in a lot of trouble. So he's out, I think he's kite fishing this morning. We'll probably find out sometime next week what the results were. So thank you for doing that, Kenton. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. You're welcome, and it was definitely an honor to be on. So thank you.
Thanks, James. Give my best to your family. Tell your wife we're sorry for the interruption.
It's all good. I'm going to load them up now. We're going to head to the seafood festival.
Awesome.
Now, James, I know this is kind of unusual for you this morning. Are you typically available Sunday mornings if we ask you to come back on?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can be. I limit myself to the half day charters on Sundays. I definitely want to be home in the afternoon. So yes, I typically am available. For half day trips.
Great. Well, I'll get a hold of you. I'll get all the info from Pam, and we'll have you back on. I enjoy having people like you on the show because my focus with this show is family oriented. We want to be able to have families find that unique experience, and when you share the same experience together, it does something about the relationship. It helps build, in my experience, it helps build that relationship, and that's something that we need today.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Well, thank you, Captain. I appreciate it, sir. Wish you a wonderful day, and God bless you.
All right, likewise. Thanks, everyone.
You're listening to the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riskella. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Download the Fish Florida mobile app to plan your boating, fishing, or hunting trip. You can find your tide reports, buoy reports, get a fishing license, and even find someone to go fishing with. Plus great products and services from all our media partners. And oh yeah, you can get the Fish Florida Show on the app. Sundays at 8 a.m. Eastern here on the WDBF radio networks. So download the Fish Florida mobile app to plan your boating, fishing, or hunting trip and tune in.
Battles aren't won solely on the field. That's a common misconception. Battles are won within. Over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. In that place where promises are kept. Promises to oneself.
This is a physical training event.
Promises to one's community.
Helping people move debris out of their house.
Promises to one's country. In the heart of every Marine, you'll find a promise. A promise forever kept. A promise of battles won.
Today, my new dad and I shot off a rocket in the park.
Today, my new son and I failed to shoot off a rocket.
He knew exactly what to do.
I had no clue what I was doing.
We set up the rocket.
Hit
ignition.
And then nothing. Sometimes I laugh when I'm frustrated.
Then out of nowhere, the rocket launched into the air.
The rocket did get into the air.
I've never seen anything fly so high.
And then crashed into a kite.
Look out! Look out!
And then the pond.
I'll never forget that day.
I'll never forget that day, even if I tried.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
It took me a long time to be able to say Chandler has cancer, because that is such a scary word. St. Jude takes care of absolutely everything. And knowing that we don't have to pay for all of the medical expenses, that's huge.
St. Jude allowed me to focus on being a mom to Bryce. And sometimes I'm just in awe of the impact St. Jude has, not only on this community, but the world.
St. Jude is uniquely positioned to advance the cures of pediatric cancer, I think better than any other institution in the world. The contributions make a big difference.
Donors are important to us because you get the feeling that you have a team behind you. We have the resources and we have the focus. And so if St. Jude doesn't do it, who will?
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures. Saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
My vehicle was sent 6 feet in the air in a ball of fire. I thought I was going to die.
It ripped my arm off. It broke my right femur.
I took such a hard blow to the head that my retina was torn apart.
Say a prayer for peace.
I'm Trace Adkins. I want to tell you about these true American heroes and how you can show your thanks by helping them through Wounded Warrior Project.
They've reached out to us as a family, and they never forgot about us.
The job of helping thousands of our wounded warriors rebuild their lives is massive and growing every day. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Many of these service members suffer traumatic brain injury and post-traumatic stress disorder.
They helped me basically put my life back together.
If it wasn't for Wounded Warrior Project, I would be a statistic right now. I would have been one of those soldiers who came home and committed suicide.
I'm in the fields of Vietnam, the mountains of Afghanistan.
Your gift today of $19 a month can help us provide the programs and services desperately needed by our wounded service members. Call or go online with a pledge and you'll receive this Wounded Warrior Project blanket. Make that call now.
Say a prayer for peace.
I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing and blowing on when the sun shines all day. It calls me a grouper. Stop fishing and blowing on. Oh yeah.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. on the WDBF Radio Network. And now, your host, Riscala Stevens.
Okay, we are back. It is the Fish Florida Show, and it's an honor and a privilege to have you listen in. And I want to make sure that I give a thank you to the LNM Network, who carries our show for us in the morning. And while we are live, if you are in an area for whatever reason you're not able to listen to us on the internet, you can actually make a phone call. But only while we're live. You can actually make a phone call and listen to the show. The number's 701-719-9704. Again, that is thank you to the LNM Network. They provide that for me. I greatly appreciate it. And this morning I have Pam Worth, who is one of the top female kayak anglers with me. Good morning, Miss Pam.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for having me on.
And of course we have back there in the background doing all the work to make sure everything goes smoothly is Captain Hook.
There you go.
And do we have somebody on the line? I thought I heard the line ringing.
We do. We have Captain Rick Sutherland on the line with us today.
Oh, Rick. Good morning, Rick. How are you?
Poor guy's been stuck in the thunderstorms.
Riscala. How are you?
Pretty good. But Pam was saying, what were you saying, Pam?
Oh, the poor guy was stuck in thunderstorms earlier today.
Ah, that what happened.
Yeah.
We had you slotted for career.
The rain came on, and I was out fishing by myself, and it came down, and it came pouring, and I was like, oh, my goodness. So I went and I had to get out of shelter. I was hoping it'd die down, but it didn't for a while, and it finally calmed down a little bit now. But, yeah, we got a lot of rain today.
Wow.
Where are you located?
I'm in Central Florida. Matter of fact, right now I'm at on the Harris Chain of Lakes there at Lake Dora.
Uh-huh.
But it's
I'm
about,
looking up the radar.
30 miles outside Orlando.
Mm-hmm. Nice, good bass fishing there.
Oh yes, I love it. I love it. It is my home lakes. It's where I go all the time. The Harris Chain is phenomenal, and this time of year, it's we just had a cold front this weekend, and so. Or a little bit. For Florida, it's a cold front, So the bass have actually came out from underneath the cover and have gone a little bit deeper. They're following the bait fish. So anywhere you got current and bait fish, you're going to find the fish right now. They're out from underneath the cover right now.
Yeah, I fished that Harris Chain, I think it was like a year ago in January for a kayak tournament. It was the first kayak bass tournament I ever fished. And I did really well. That's a beautiful, beautiful area up there. What's your favorite lure that you're using right now that it's starting to get cooler?
Right now, I'm actually I'll either use a Texas rig worm and run a little bit deeper, or a roll trap. Right now, as we speak today, I went out and used a square bill where where the current was, but there was a little bit of timber. So I used the square bill there, and it did really good using a crankbait.
Nice.
You want to target a little bit deeper,
Uh-huh. About how deeper when you say a little deeper?
8 to 10 feet.
Mm-hmm.
About 8 to 10 feet. Now, you have a lot of people that will use a fluke when there's a lot of grass or vegetation in the area, or even a spinnerbait, you know. But just something that can get down in there, portray a bait fish. That's what you're going for at this time of year. You want to portray a bait fish because that's what they're after. They're trying to fatten up for the winter time,
Yeah, pre-spawning. What
right, yeah, so to say, for Florida, which I believe in January, you probably were in the area of where they were staging for the spawn,
Right.
Because, I fish tournament out there, all the time, but I fished a big one in February out there. They were actually right then starting to move up into the canals,
Mm-hmm. I think it kind of depends on weather.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
On the temperature.
It has everything to do with weather,
Okay. What you were talking about crankbaits. Who's your favorite or what's your good go-to crankbait?
My good go-to crankbait is a Bagley, believe it or not. They make a good balsa wood crankbait. And you can get them, shallow or deep, but I like the balsa wood because of, its buoyancy.
Mm-hmm.
It'll come up a little quicker than, like a plastic one or things of that nature. That balsa wood will come up quicker, so you get more of an action. Because most time I'll get them to hit as a stop and pause, and that crankbait comes back up, they'll hit it when you do that stop and pause.
Mm-hmm. So
that's my go-to.
Is there a particular pattern that you're using right now with that Berkeley?
Sometimes I'll go with just a steady retrieve then pause, steady retrieve pause. Some people, they just like to just keep cranking it, and you're missing a lot of fish. You'll just pause and let that sit there. They think, oh my goodness, here's a wounded bait fish, and I get my opportunity. Pause. That's one of the most important things I can tell you about a crankbait.
I know.
Pause. It's like using a worm.
Yeah,
you let it drop.
Yeah, I tease people and I tell them, find your favorite song, and every time a line ends, that's when you pause. So my top water is dun 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 dun.
But that's just the thing. There's no particular pattern that you can use. All I'll say is just make sure that you do put a pause in there. Sometimes I'll want it a little bit faster. Sometimes I'll want it slower. And that's what you just have to get out and play with. You just got to get out and find out what cadence they're going for,
Mm-hmm. Is there a color choice on the lure that you prefer right now, this time of year?
It depends on the water clarity, really.
Okay.
And as the old myth goes, the darker the water, the darker the lure, So,
I'm sorry, the darker the water, the what?
The darker the color, the darker the lure.
Okay.
So, and I know that sounds crazy. You think, well, they can't see it. It's dark water. But they do. Believe it or not, the clearer the water, I use I fished a tournament on Johns Lake there in Claremont yesterday. It's real crystal clear water. But I had to use a white or something real shiny.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas today, in the Harris chain, it's like a tea stain. It's a real dark colored water. So I'm using almost a crawdad color. It's a darker color.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just going for that image, and the sound. And that's another reason I like the Bagley square bill is it actually has a rattle in it.
Ah.
And so I target that too, so they can also hear it as well as see it,
Well, you said you were in a tournament yesterday. How well did you do? What'd you bag?
Well, I brought home a check, but I wouldn't say I did too well. I think we ended up fourth.
Hey, you brought a check home.
Yeah, we brought a check. So, we didn't win it or bring home the big fish. So, but we did pretty good.
Hey, I'm thinking.
What was that tournament? What tournament was that?
It's a Sumter County Bassmasters.
Oh, okay, it's freshwater tournament.
It's just like a local tournament. A bunch of local anglers go and fish it. I think we had 32 boats or something that showed up yesterday, which was a good turnout for John Flynn. But
wow.
Yeah, it was fun. And like I said, we were so close to getting up in there and to winning, but we just couldn't get the big kick.
So what's it like right now where you're at? Because you're kind of fading in and out. I'm wondering if that's the weather that's doing that.
Yeah, it's cloudy. Like I said, we got poured on. I got poured on this morning. It's cloudy, a lot of overcast, but it's nice. It's kind of warming up. It seems like it was really chilly this morning, so it's really warming up, but it's still cloudy. Got a little bit of wind. It was real windy yesterday. It was real hard to keep your boat still, but today it's a lot less wind, just overcast. And like I said, with the rain just hitting it, I was hoping it would miss me this morning, but no, it hit me right on.
You lucky guy, you.
Best laid plans of mice and men.
Rick, when we have a temperature change like you experienced this morning, how does that affect the fishing?
Oh, big time. Big time. And it's more of your fronts. It's not just like a sudden change. It's more when you have, the sunlight will affect, the fishing. I noticed yesterday it was doing that as well. And anytime the sun came out, you can go ahead and change up lures, change up your tactics. It'll change up fishing tremendously. But whenever you have a temperature change, like a cold front, it'll change the way the fish bite. The hotter it's like the hotter that it is, the more they want to come to the top. That's just from my experience. How I've always patterned it. The cooler it is, the deeper I go.
More oxygen.
But that's not.
Oh, didn't think about that.
So, but
yeah.
But I have large. Let's see. Last year in December, I caught an 8.5 and a 6.5 within 2 hours. Top water, less than 6 feet of water in December when it was the coldest day of the year. It was like 40 degrees or something like that.
Wow.
And I was like, wow.
And they say you can't
sometimes the rules change.
Yeah. And they say you can't use top water when it's cooler out. You just have to slow it down.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, I'm going to try it. And sure enough, it worked, and I found a pattern. And it was just big, largemouth, and they were already staging, and it was that cold. It was a cold front they hit.
Uh-huh.
But they were already staging. I got behind grass where I had a windbreak, and they were there.
Nice.
And I couldn't believe it. It was like, wow, well, some rules do change.
Yeah. For me, the topwater, there's nothing like the topwater bite. Or frog.
Oh.
I used a frog. That was very cool.
Yeah, the frogs are really cool. But the thing about a frog is you have to be patient. Whenever it takes it, you got to wait. And that's the hardest thing for anybody. Anytime you get a frog hit, you'll see people that'll jerk it right away and pull it out of their mouth 9 times out of 10. You've got to actually let them take it for a little bit and then set the hook.
Yep, I'm guilty of doing that.
We all are. It's just so suspenseful. Whenever they hit, there's nothing more exhilarating than that. It's great. And most time when you're using a frog, it's because you're in heavy cover.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll get scared sometimes. It'll scare me. It'll make me jerk, Yeah.
I've gotten to the point now where I try not to watch it and just feel the rod.
You're right. Because that's really, and truthfully, that is the way you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to feel it before you set it.
Mm-hmm.
But we see it, and immediately that's our natural reaction. It's just and jerk. And but there is nothing like a topwater or frog bite. There really isn't.
Oh, it fits my 5-year-old personality. Did you see that? Did you see that?
Well, isn't that part of going fishing?
It is. It is. I warn people that I fish with that, I'm a 5-year-old. If you haven't fished with me, I'm a 5-year-old. If I'm catching fish, I'm jumping all around. Look at that. Did you see that?
Oh yeah. But that's what you do. That's how you keep it fun.
Mm-hmm.
Probably how you were brought up and learning to fish, and some things like that just never go away, we all still have an inner kid, and if you don't do that, you're not enjoying it, You're supposed to enjoy it.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's what it's about for me. It's going out there and enjoying it. Pam says she's like a 5-year-old. I can remember there were times that, when I was younger and we would fish the canals there in Miami, the saltwater canals, some seriously big fish because this was right out of the bay, some seriously big fish would come in there and we'd be jumping up and down. Did you see that? Oh my God. Of course, we'd never be able to hook anything like that. We'd never hold on to it, but, there was some seriously big fish in there. There were sharks in those canals, believe it or not. Some fairly nice sized sharks, 4 or 5 foot long sharks in those canals. We could catch just about anything in those canals that you could catch in the bay back then. It was really an amazing time. It was an amazing time, and I'd like to see that come back if we can do that. It's always been, for me, it's always well, I should say most of the time. There have been a few times when we go fishing, you just get frustrated. The reel breaks down, or you realize you should have changed your line before you went fishing, and the line is rotted, and you can't bring up a fish or something like that. But those have been few and far in between. Most of the time for me, it's been very enjoyable. Something that will go out there and just when you're done, you come home and it's kind of a relaxed feeling. You're a little tired from being out in the sun, but it's a relaxing kind of feeling.
Well, that's what it's about for me. I mean, fishing is very therapeutic for me. I mean, I love this is my home away from home. I love getting out here and just relaxing. And just break your line and everything else. But at the end of the day, it's way better. What do they say? A bad day of fishing is better than a good day at work any day.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's
right. How true. Well, Rick, thank you. I do want to thank you for taking the time to call in. I'm glad that you're okay. I was a little concerned that we didn't hear from you earlier. So good to hear from you. Glad you're all right. Wish you a wonderful day, sir. Thank you for calling in. Greatly appreciate it. We are up against a break, and we will be right back.
All right,
you're listening to the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riskella. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Do you own a laser printer, copier, or a fax? Well then, listen close to this announcement. Laser Technologies has been providing high-quality, frustration-free toner cartridges that are guaranteed not to harm your equipment for over 20 years. Laser Technologies will save you on your supplies with high-quality and fast delivery. Savings up to 50%. Laser Technologies supplies toner, imaging drums, developer and cartridges for most of the major brands. For a price quote, send an email to service@laser-technologies.com. Include your printer make and model for your part number. Call us at 561-792-9600. That's 561-792-9600. Laser Technologies, providing 100% of the quality at a fraction of the price. 561-792-9600.
Que Pasa Mexican Cantina is where friends and neighbors come to connect, share, and celebrate one another in a festive, casual atmosphere. Offering rich, robust flavors of authentic Mexican cuisine, we use only the freshest, finest ingredients. We chop and dice, season and blend, and then cook everything we serve to perfection. One thing that makes Mexican food even better is one of our delicious Best of the Bay margaritas. Our signature series of margarita flavors range from our sweet and fruity mango and strawberry to our hot and juicy jalapeno margarita. Having a busy meeting or getting together and looking for Mexican food? Try our Fast Fax form. It's an easy, fast way to order your favorite Mexican food. We have special platters and layouts for any occasion. The form is super easy to fill out, fax, email, or just call it in. Whether it's here in the restaurant, in your home or office, at Que Pasa we celebrate bringing people together. Que Pasa Mexican Cantina, 10478 Roosevelt Boulevard North Street in the Gateway Shopping Center, 727-330-3663 in St. Petersburg.
Hi folks, I'm Roger from Rogers Gotcha Motoring. If you need a local auto repair shop, Rogers Gotcha Motoring will take care of all of your automotive repair needs. If you need something as simple as an oil change or as complex as an engine overhaul, I have the latest in technology and the knowledge to get the job done right. We've been servicing Pinellas County since 1994 and are conveniently located at 3700 5th Avenue North in St. Petersburg, Florida. If you need service, call now at 727-327-1830 or visit my website at www.rogersgotchamotoring.com or like my Facebook page at Rogers Gotcha Motoring for a complete list of all of our services. So come on over to Rogers, that's me, and get your car service today. And don't forget to shop and support local business. Call now to book your appointment at 727-327-1830. That's 727-327-1830, or swing on by.
I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing and blowing on. When the sun shines all day.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riskalla Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. on the WDBF Radio Network. And now your host, Riskalla Stevens.
All right, we are back. It is the final segment of the show. Again, if you've missed any of the show, we do archive the shows. We also replay the shows. You will find the show being replayed again at 3 p.m. Here on WDBF Radio Network. And if you can't go to sleep and you find yourself awake at 4 o'clock in the morning, you can listen to the show again then. If you miss the both of them, you can find the shows archived on thefishfloatershow.com. That is our website. You can also find us on the YouTube channel, which again is the Fish Florida Show. You can visit us on Facebook. We have a Facebook page. It's the Fish Florida Show. And please do that. It makes our searches relevant. Go by, give us a like. We tried to give you the latest and greatest about what's coming up on the shows there as well. And sometimes some interesting information available there on the Facebook page. So this morning I have Miss Pam Worth with me. She is one of the top female kayak anglers here in Florida. Good morning, Miss Pam.
Good morning, young man.
I like that. And back there in the background is Captain Hook. He's the one who makes everything work so smoothly. Thank you, Captain Hook. Greatly appreciate it, sir.
Yeah. My pleasure.
And in the background there, I think I hear Captain Clyde. Is that you, Captain Clyde?
Yes, it is. How you doing this morning, Riscala?
I am doing well, brother. It's good to have you back on, my friend. Captain Clyde is also known as the crappie psychic, and there's a reason that they call him that is because he has this unbelievable skill to catch one of the most favored fish there in Louisiana. How are we doing over there, Captain Clyde?
Well, the crappie are really biting well here in Louisiana right now. They're starting to stage and transition to their spawning areas, and a lot of people are having a lot of fun right now.
And I understand you just did a show or something? Tell me a little bit about that.
What's that? I'm sorry. Come back, Riscala?
I understand you just did a TV show or something like that.
I'm not sure. Seems like the connection have cut out a little bit, but
yeah. Did we lose him, Captain Hook?
No, I think he's still there. I don't know what happened to the audio.
He may be in a bad area, or we may have a bad connection. Captain Clyde, if you can hear me, call us back, because I think we've got a bad connection. You're fading in and out, and we've lost you. Can't hear you any longer. I know that. I wonder if he's out on the water. He may be out on the water this morning. Let's see if we can get a better connection. All right, I hear it ringing.
Nope. Looks like we've got him back on.
Yeah, but I hear ringing in the background.
Yep, that's what I meant.
There we go. All right, have we got him back on, Captain Clyde?
Yes, I'm back. I don't know.
Well, that's much
just
better.
Cut out on us for some reason.
That's much better.
Yep. Okay, now we can hear you, my friend.
Okay.
So you said that.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you said that the crappie are now just starting to stage.
Yes, they're transitioning to their spawning areas. So people are really starting to catch them, and it's going to be good now from November through the end of March. It's going to be a really, really hot crappie fishing time here in southern Louisiana.
When you say, oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Pam.
When you say southern Louisiana, whereabouts are you?
I am actually 45 miles southwest of New Orleans.
Okay. So really,
I'm close to the coast.
Yeah, but you're easy to get to. I mean, if somebody's looking to do that.
Yes, definitely. I'm right off of Highway 90, which is a main highway in southern Louisiana.
Mm-hmm. So when you're targeting them, do you have a special bait you like to use?
Well, yeah, I use, I'm an artificial bait guy. I have a motto I kind of live by in the last 15 years. I don't use live bait because my motto is I go to catch them, not to feed them. And, when you're using live bait, now look, those guys catch a lot of fish, there's no doubt. But I'm just not into that because 40% of the time the fish is getting your bait and you're missing the fish, and then you got to put another live bait on and so forth and so on. So I'm strictly artificial. So I like using artificial tube jigs, plastics. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, I always tip it with my scented crappie trailers and my scented crappie ammo, which is a deadly combination.
So he has his own line.
Ah. Yeah. And how can...
Trailers, I think, is what he called them.
Right. So you have the little tube hook and the trailer goes on the end of it, correct? And then you scent that?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah, well, it comes scented. Okay. All the trailers are in a package and they're scented already. So you just grab a scented trailer, you put it on right behind your tube jig, and then I like to grab a scented ammo, which is a little BB, and I put that right behind the trailer, which kind of anchors it close to the trailer. I mean, close to the skirt of the tube jig you're using.
And how big of a hook is on that tube jig?
I like to use a jig head, a 1/16 ounce jig head with a number 2. Okay. Now they do make them with a number 4, but I like a larger hook because I do not like to catch the brim. I like to catch the crappie. You know, brim hang out in the same areas that crappie hang out in. So if you have a smaller hook, the brim are very aggressive and they're going to get hooked. So I like the brim to actually hit at my bait, which is going to grab the attention of the crappie, which are normally staged a little lower in the water. They're normally below the brim. So they'll see the brim hitting at my bait. So they'll come to investigate, and then you'll catch the crappie if you have a larger hook. If you have a smaller hook, when the brim are messing around with it, you're going to hook the brim.
Good point. I was asking you, forgive me for a second, Pam. I was asking you about the show, Captain Clyde. Were you on some kind of a TV show or a video of some sort?
Well, I'm always on TV shows, and I was going to be doing a show there in Florida, in Tampa, but it didn't work out. The guys had boat troubles, and we didn't get to do the show, but I did another one here in Louisiana with Find Your Outdoors, a Mississippi TV show that came to Louisiana, and we didn't actually fish crappie. We fished catfish, and it was an awesome show. It's going to be airing in 2019, and I was able to pair up with Trinity Disabled Outdoors Adventures, and we got to take a very fine young man, Mr. Luke Dickey's, 16-year-old with cerebral palsy. And it was an awesome show, and that's going to be airing in 2019.
Yeah, I saw that. I was hoping you were going to say that. I saw that's why I mentioned the shows. Very moving, very, very inspirational. Reaching out to a young man who has disabilities, and you made his day. The smile on that young man's face was from ear to ear. You could see the enthusiasm.
Yes, he had an awesome time, and we were able to bring his dad with him, Ben, and they really, really enjoyed themselves, and it put an awesome smile on my face also.
That's great.
That's what it's about. It's about giving back, and in the process of doing that, you receive, right? Isn't it really? Isn't that what happens? You give out, but in the process of you giving, you receive back.
Oh, no doubt. The blessings are overflowing.
It was very moving. Thank you for doing that. That's the kind of thing we need in the world today. You know, we take fishing, forgive me, we take some things in life for granted. Fishing is something that has been such a blessing for me, and it is always heartwarming to see that other people use it to build relationships, and that's exactly what happened. I'm sure that the father and the son were even closer by the end of the day because they shared that experience together than they did at the beginning of the day.
That's very possible. I know they very much enjoyed themselves. The weather was great. The young man caught a lot of fish. I mean, he had a blast, and I had a blast doing it.
That's why I say you give, but you receive as well. You're giving of your time, your knowledge, your experience, and in the process of that, you're receiving something that you can't put into a dollar sign, something that is so far beyond a dollar sign. that is a beautiful gift in return for what you've done for him. To me, that's what life is about.
I couldn't agree more, Riscala. I couldn't agree more.
So let's talk a little bit about what you have. I know you mentioned the trailers. What else do you have?
Well, we have some little carts that's called slab rattlers, and it's got a built-in rattle into the cart, and so whenever you're moving the cart, you get a little rattling noise, which is really good for the brown fishermen, but it's also really good for crappie fishermen during the spawn, because the crappie move into shallower waters during the spawn, and they really are protecting that nest. So when you have that rattling cart, and you're throwing close to their nest, it gives that little rattling noise, which sounds like a real easy meal. You know, it maybe sounds like a beetle or a cricket on the water. And that's a real easy meal. So they'll come off that nest real quick, and when they do that, they'll see your bait, and, you know, normally. So it's kind of to entice them a little bit, that rattling carp. And then we have hand-tied little jigs that we call grass shrimp jigs. And you can see those on our website at thecrappiepsychic.com. And those are a big hit for the crappie fishermen also.
Spell the Crappie Psychic, just so people understand how they find you.
Well, you have to put in the word the, T-H-E, and then crappie is C-R-A-P-P-I-E, and then psychic is P-S-Y-C-H-I-C, and that's thecrappiepsychic.com.
Easily found online, and I have purchased some of the product from him, taken my grandson out, and I got to tell you, it was the most enjoyable time with regard to not having to deal with live worms. It was easy. We put this thing, I'm not real familiar with the line, Captain Clyde, but I think what you sent me was called a trailer. Threw it out in the water, and he just had a blast. The fish were hitting it right and left. And it certainly was a lot easier to do that than have to deal with the live worms, because even though the live worms created more action, it also created more of a mess. This was so much easier. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, that's no problem. And actually, my trailers create more action than the live worms, and since they're scented, they do have a very powerful scent. So that's why I think they work so well, because they have a lot of action, and they're very powerfully scented. And we also have the saltwater versions, too, for those people that like fishing the red drum and the sea trout. So we're not just a freshwater company. We also have the saltwater ones that people in Florida are really enjoying for the red drum and sea trout.
Well, you just got my attention.
I knew that was good.
Well, they work on snook also, so I have never fished
got her
snook,
again.
but they do work on snook.
Wow.
Well, I'm going to have to get on your site and grab some of those and try them out here.
Have to check that out.
Oh, yeah, well, they're a big hit with kayak fishermen here in Louisiana, so I think I heard a little bit about you being a kayak fisherman, correct?
Yes, sir, I am. And I was in your neck of the woods about 3 weeks ago for the IFA Inshore Fishing Association Championship. We were down in Grand Isles. I love that area.
Yes. Oh, it's a huge fisheries here in Louisiana. Grand Isle's awesome, especially on the saltwater side.
Oh my goodness. It was shooting fish in a barrel compared to Tampa Bay area.
So did you catch some nice red drum when you were there?
Yes, sir, I did. I really enjoyed myself, and I got second biggest trout. It was 20.5 inches.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we're having such a good time, but we're rapidly running out of time. Captain Clyde, thank you for taking time to call in. You can find him at thecrappiepsychic.com. And he's out of Louisiana. Thank you so much, Captain Clyde. Greatly appreciate it, sir. God bless you, brother.
Look, I'd like to give a shout-out to my sister-in-law, Donna. It's her birthday today, and I want to wish her a very happy birthday.
Sure.
Happy birthday, Donna.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Donna, wherever you are.
Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Clyde. God bless.
God bless you too.
Talk to you soon, my friend. All right, ladies and gentlemen, about wraps us up for this particular show. We'll be back in a week. If you miss us, we're on at 3 or 4 a.m. Talk to you in a week.